I'd do anything to help you, Mike. You've helped me.
Absolutely. So everyone, I'm here with a friend of mine, Jeremy Ash. Really, really unique story. I just wanted to share Jeremy with everybody. He luckily hasn't had some of the health issues that I had and some others have had. I was lucky enough to come out of it and live, but our Jeremy and I also, I think we kind of met based on the fact that we were both friends with Boston Loyd.
Right.
And anybody that knows Boston Loyd, it sucks. Boston died. Was it a year ago now, or was it a little more?
A little more than a year.
Yeah, yeah. And you're little, almost 2 years,
Going
probably.
on 2. Mhm.
Yeah, going on 2 years. And it was about a year after I lost Phil. And I don't know, Boston was kind of, it sucked too, because I remember I wasn't friends with Boston as long as Jeremy. Jeremy was friends with Boston for years and worked under Boston for some coaching and, trained with him at times. And myself, I got to know Boston within the year before he died, and through my buddy Phil. And through Phil's death, Boston and I got to know each other. And somebody that used to be a friend of Phil's was saying some awful things about him, and I publicly posted something, and he messaged me, and that kind of started our friendship because we had a common enemy and a common friend.
Yep.
And and then losing Boston, Jeremy, I could just turn it over to you, because like the loss of Boston, like what did that,
Right.
that seemed to, it messed with you, it resonated.
It did. I mean, just alone how young he was, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
which I know he's not been the only bodybuilder that's had these health issues recently, but just knowing somebody personally, like it hits closer to home. I mean,
yeah,
just for like, wow, that could be me, that could have been me. I mean, I went completely opposite direction after that happened to him. I mean, I stopped everything essentially. I was so paranoid from what happened to him. Like, wow, that could happen to anybody. And
yeah,
I know Boston was more on the extreme end of things, but it still just shows, I mean, that it could happen to anybody at any
yeah.
time. Just really open your eyes.
Hmm. Yeah. And then you had said, how did you first run across me? Was it the video with John Jaguish, or was it?
It was. It
Okay.
was the video. Because obviously, I like I said, I had a hard fallout with bodybuilding as a whole there for a while, just because I don't want to start blaming the sport for what happened to Boston, but I mean, in a way, you associate that, right? So I just
Yeah.
kind of took a step back. But I mean, if you love something, you eventually come back to it. So I wanted to look at a different approach.
Yeah.
So it happens it is I find Dr. J stuff. Was kind of watching on some of his videos, and then I happen to see the video with you, and
Right.
obviously you resonated right off the bat because we come from a similar background. You were in bodybuilding. Like I said, we have a similar backstory.
Hmm.
So if you're endorsing it, I was like, okay, there's something to this,
Hmm.
and it kind of just went from there. Been following you ever since, Dr. J ever since, been with the X3 ever since, and I
Yeah.
couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Yeah. The variable resistance is, I mean, it's so proven, and it's funny to me that so many guys fight it. You know,
Right, right.
um, our buddy Emmerich, it won't spoil things, but Emmerich's going to be very famous pretty soon, and everybody's
He's
going to know.
amazing, as he should be, right?
Everybody's, and
Right.
I always said everybody needs a little Emmerich in their life, and it's going to happen. But and everything Emmerich does is so just genuine, you know. And I think that's why John and Emmerich have also become good friends. They
Sure.
same sort of mindset. And what John has figured out with the resistance bands, Emmerich used with weights. And the two of them is a combination. I'm working on some protocols right now with a combination of the X3 with some of Emmerich's training. And
Right.
I think that's going to be the next level. Like that, you're not going to beat that.
Oh
There really
yeah.
isn't anything that's going to beat that. But then something that's really unique between you and I, and a lot of guys, like I've been taking a lot of guys off of these retarded doses and
Right.
showing them how to just use TRT.
Sure.
And we used to always think that it had to do with a certain dose that would give you certain results.
Right.
And it's just the fact that we have a little more testosterone to use and at the right times. And we can actually manipulate within legal TRT doses to get amazing results and not have any of the side effects. We're healthy. Like, we get our blood work
Right.
done and we are like extremely healthy. Obviously Humanofort's a part of it.
Oh, 100%.
I think it's silly if anybody doesn't use Humanofort just because of everything it will do for somebody.
I mean, yeah, right. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
And you've experienced it. You went on just
Yes.
what we would call the cruise protocol, just to
Yes.
reset everything. And I
Mhm.
remember you messaged me, it was 3 weeks later, you were afraid of losing muscle, and you're like, I haven't lost a fucking pound.
Not at all. Yeah. If anything,
You
I
know?
almost felt like I was growing, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Yeah, yeah. And it's, we're still, the thing is, if we've been on a dose for so long, the SHBG has brought us down to we're at the high end of normal anyway.
Right.
And so when we do the microdosing, we're just putting that much in so our body doesn't counteract anything.
Right.
So we're not only have the same amount of testosterone we would on higher amounts, our androgen receptors are more sensitive,
Mhm.
and that was one thing that a lot of people don't understand, is just like a diabetic, if they have really high blood sugars all the time and their body's continually pumping out all this insulin, those receptors constantly have insulin in them. Eventually
Right.
they downregulate, they're tired, they're exhausted, they need a break. And if we're taking too many androgens, at first we'll feel fantastic, but after a couple 3 months, because those levels were so high, the receptors have been just saturated, and they will get exhausted and they'll downregulate and they won't work anymore, at least to the same degree that they would if say if it just we have a blast of testosterone, but the levels go back down and allow those receptors to clean out and stay sensitive. And then when we work out, that's when we want a little extra. But when
Right.
we're in between there, we just want a healthy testosterone level, that so everything functions normally. We don't have
Right.
to be like blasted to the gills with testosterone at all times. And we don't need all these fancy compounds.
Right.
We can use a little bit of a couple of compounds. Just, let's say if somebody was an actual bodybuilder dialing into a show, there's maybe adding a little something, but it doesn't have to be at the degree everybody ever thought it was. And we're proving it.
Yeah, not even close, right?
you know, so I'd like it if, kind of explain some of the things that you saw as a benefit for, like we said, the Humanofort is very important, especially
Right.
for guys like you or myself that had taken the higher doses or used trenbolone and things like that.
Right. Right.
Our receptors are very downregulated. We've got our
Sure.
hypothalamus is shrunk, our testicles are shrunk right up. Even, not just fertility issues, we have a quite, even emotionally, we don't
Right.
feel as good. And like, what was some of the stuff that you noticed when you did that first 8 weeks?
One of the things that really came first and was honestly one of the most important, I guess, when I look back on it now, is like quality of sleep. I hadn't
Mhm.
slept well in years, right? And it's probably from all the compounds and just your androgen receptors being fried. My sleep within the first 3 weeks, I mean, I slept through the night, which I hadn't done in years, without having
Mhm.
to wake up or something. That was another one that was kind of surprising, was the sensitivity to caffeine. It's like
Mhm.
everything got reset. I mean, I would probably be on 400 or 500 milligrams of caffeine prior, just to kind of almost make it through the day. That was almost a baseline. And then, after probably a month on Humanofort, I mean, I was off completely, which
Sure.
was again
Oh,
mind blowing.
oh,
I just thought that was yeah,
you have come
yeah,
off it completely? Really?
completely at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't plan on. I planned to, you know, I mean, kind of lower the dose or cut back, but I mean, it's like I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
point? So I just like, hey, that's good for me. And
Yeah.
skin's cleared up. I get told constantly, people I haven't seen in a couple months, they're like, you know, wow, you look really good. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like, wow. I mean, you know,
You
the
just look
Humanoport
healthy.
just yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they say. Like you got a glow about you. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it's just it's hard to believe that something can do that much for you. Obviously, like
Correct.
when we talk about, you know, testicular fullness, I mean, you just feel like, wow, I feel like everything's just reset.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, from one kind of simple compound, you're just like, this is like we talked about earlier. Why would someone not take this if they knew all that it can do for you? I mean, it's
Yeah.
almost mind-boggling at this point, being on. But I get it, I guess, because I mean, it does sound too good to be true until you.
It
Because I
does.
mean, when we talked at first, I mean, you had to really talk me into it. Because like, Mike, I don't think I want to come lower than 200 milligrams, and you know how it is. I mean,
Yeah.
but once you give it a try, the results, I mean, they blew me away.
Yeah. I went through the same thing. And
Sure.
I remember after my second heart attack, Phil was, or not Phil, Emmerich was on the phone with me in the hospital, talking me through stuff. And I even had a hard time because the minimal amount of testosterone I would ever take was like 100 milligrams every 3 days, or,
Right.
and that was
Sure.
still wrong because of the amount that your body would get in it. You'd be 10 times too high in one day, and then it would taper
Right.
down to nothing, you know,
Right.
but you're shut down.
Yes.
And now we know that if you're staying under that safety window, your free test can keep climbing because that SHBG is
Right.
not binding it up. I have
Right.
guys that do their blood work now, and their free test there's two different scales. I'll explain that in another video, but on the scale that's from 35 to 155, one of them was over 230 with their free test, but they were functioning normally. Their body wasn't
Right.
fighting it because their high level was only 950, and that your body doesn't detect that as too much. So it
Right.
just lets
Right.
that free test keep climbing. And the free test is what we got to use. And if you got
Right.
ridiculous amounts of free test, I've seen guys on 500 milligrams of shit, their total level will be 1100, and their free test on that scale will be like 100. Now
Right.
we got a guy that's on microdosing that's at 950, but he has twice the free test as that other guy.
Right. Right.
And he's taken a fraction of what he's using.
Exactly. Exactly. And I
So
got to thank you for, putting me onto that, because that's just something, and you know this in the bodybuilding community, no one talks about it and didn't want to help each other. We were just I overlooked it somehow because I never until you never
yeah,
heard of that. I saw, oh, guess I got to up my test again. Oh, guess time
yeah,
to add another compound, and it's like, no, that was the free test the whole time. Like,
yep,
who would
yep.
have thought?
Well, and that's the thing is they don't do studies for bodybuilders,
Well,
So,
yeah, right, right, right,
Emmerich went through all these studies for just TRT and
right.
figured it out. We hacked it,
Sure.
like
Yeah, you
it's kind
absolutely.
it's kind of funny. We're getting steroid cycle gains out of taking less TRT than some guys do because
I know it
TRT,
doesn't even seem real, does it? How
yeah, because TRT can go up to like 400 milligrams a week.
yeah, yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen some of that, which
and we're
crazy.
blasting on half of that and getting magnificent results.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's why you've seen that I paired up with Primal Medical.
Right.
Now, the guys at Primal Medical, John Jaquish, Dr. Jaquish taught the doctors there how to read blood work, that the cholesterol is not
Right.
a problem. And first and foremost, we want people to have a healthy diet. And that's why
Right.
everybody
Right.
that signs up with Primal now, they get 4 consults. They get consults with me every quarter when they get their blood work done. We
Hmm.
look at their blood work, we talk about their diet, we make some changes, we even talk about training. And depending on the person's goals, I'll help them with their TRT and, you know,
Sure.
and what I like there is they are doing real, genuine, honest TRT, just getting the most out of it. They're not one of these centers that are trying to just sell steroids to guys. There's a lot
Right.
of them out there that they're compounding their own stuff.
Mm.
And you basically go there and they'll prescribe you 400 milligrams of test, 200 Deca, some Anavar, some Winnie, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, that ain't TRT, that's a fucking steroid
No.
cycle.
Right. Exactly.
So, and so I get excited when I talk to you, Jeremy, just because your excitement and happiness with it. And
Yeah.
same thing, I'm looking forward to bodybuilding again at an older age, and I got a new fresh start, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've done the same for me. You've given me that passion back that I thought I'd lost, because I just like, well, this isn't worth it just for the health, repercussions.
Yeah,
But you've shown me, hey, you can do this safely and go about it this way, and it makes all the difference.
yeah. Well, you look at guys like Robbie Robinson, he's 80 years
Right.
old and
Yeah.
just looks phenomenal.
Amazing. Yeah.
And we can owe that to Emmerich. Emmerich,
Right.
he's a Humanofort guy. Emmerich's got him on the regular protocol. He's 80 years old, so I
Right.
don't think the blasting's really a factor. But
Right.
he had a bad left heart ventricle, and using Humanofort, the guy regenerated his own heart ventricle, because there's the growth factors and the building blocks in order to make your own stem cells in order to repair your own heart ventricle.
Mhm.
Just Humanofort's been shown, given to animals prematurely born, that they'll finish development outside of the womb, because they're getting all those growth factors that were so
Right.
important in the embryonic phase. And we can look forward to that. We're eating
Absolutely.
like an ancestral type diet, so everything we're eating is good and clean,
Mhm.
and training, and we know how to use the hormones. So actually testosterone, if you have deficient testosterone, it causes a weak heart and cholesterol problems and stuff as well.
Right.
So it actually, for men, strengthens the heart and everything. So we
Right.
want optimal levels. We just
Right.
3,000 milligrams a week is not necessary.
No.
And the path we're taking might be a little bit slower, but it's solid
Right.
and it's forever. And we don't have to worry about
Right.
dying at 35, 40 years old, or
Right.
having some detrimental health problems and have to drop out. And
Right.
I'm hoping, well, I know I am, eventually. I was trying to talk to Dr. Tony Hughes, but he lives in Thailand now. And I was just talking to Dr. Jakewish, because it's so far away. Our
Right.
internet reception sucks from that
Right.
far away.
Right.
But I wouldn't be opposed to just honestly, even just myself flying out there to hang out with Dr. Hughes for a couple of weeks. And
It'd be a blast.
yeah, because he's a unique doctor too. He's more into the
Absolutely.
bodybuilding. Dr. Jakewish loves working out and building muscle, but he's more into like athletes. He likes working
Right.
with the NFL and all, guys like that.
Sure.
And Tony Hughes has got a booth at the Olympia and whatnot. So he would be fun to talk to and, teach some of these things to, because he's going to pass that on as well.
Right.
But yeah, the ability, like I had it to a very severe degree, the testicular atrophy. And
Mhm.
then I was at the point where ejaculation didn't happen anymore. I shared that with you.
Yeah.
Like nothing came out anymore.
It's almost painful,
And
wasn't
then, yeah, and it's
it?
like there's something supposed to come out and it doesn't. It's like a
Yeah.
cramp in there.
Right.
And I actually, it was a long time ago now, probably 7-8 years ago, but somebody had accused me of faking an orgasm because nothing happened,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then you got to try to explain that, like, well, I'm just
right.
broken because all the damn steroids I took.
Yeah. It's
And
a fun conversation to have, huh?
yeah, and now I don't have the ups and downs. You're like,
Right.
and
Yes.
Emmerich and I talked about it. After you're on a large amount of stuff for a long time, even though you're on ridiculous amounts of testosterone, your sex drive goes to shit. You'd be on 2
Yeah.
grams
Oh
of
yeah.
shit. And after
Sure.
12 weeks, you're just kind of like, and that's just because your receptors are down regulated. Your body's SHB has brought you down to normal levels. So not
Mhm.
only is your test just normal, but your receptors are down regulated. So you're responding to it less. And
Right.
that's when the caffeine, that all has to do with the testes and the adrenal cortex. So when the adrenal cortex starts to regenerate because the hypothalamus is coming back because we're not
Right.
taking too much shit, the adrenal cortex coming up is what has a lot to do with the androgen receptor upregulation and other receptor upregulation. That's why all of a sudden we sip some caffeine and we're like, holy shit,
Yeah. It's like, yeah,
super,
reset. You can feel it.
yeah. And even um, like carbohydrates and things like that, you get a lot more out of just a tablespoon of honey or something than you ever would.
Right.
And so it's given everybody, Jeremy, that I talked to, just like you said, the sleep, that is almost unanimous in every single person that starts taking Humanofort.
Sure.
Everybody within a couple of weeks gets a hold of me and they're like, man, I just feel like if I get 5 hours of sleep, I feel so much better than I used to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
You
like
can
you're
tell
not sleep,
quality.
you're not sleeping more, but when you do sleep, you get up and you're like, man, I actually feel like I rested.
Yeah. You can
And
definitely tell it's much deeper level of sleep.
yeah, yeah. And then having the ridiculously high testosterone levels fucks with your sleep too, because we naturally are supposed to
Right.
dip down a little bit in our sleep. They
Mhm.
actually go low, and then in the morning to midday, they go up. So we're mimicking that with the dosing, where we dose in the morning and then halfway through the day we have a peak and then it slowly goes back down at nighttime. But we
Right.
have plenty of testosterone. And as long as our free test is high enough, we continue to grow. And just those little blasts we can manipulate here and there just a little bit and have zero problems. We're taking less doing that than most guys do for their regular TRT.
Exactly.
And, so I see it's getting dark there, but I can still see your face
Yeah,
just
I
fine.
apologize, everybody. Of course, we had to have some weather, and I'm out, working, putting some salt down, and
Yeah.
but like I said, I want to do this for you, Mike, because
It
like
must stay a
and
little
I'll
sunnier here just because I'm closer to the equator or
yeah,
some
that
shit.
could be, and this is something I want to, I guess, kind of insert anyways. Is like I've never endorsed anyone anything. I've never done the social media thing, so I'm doing this for Mike because this is truly something I believe in. And obviously, for people, I don't want somebody to end up like Boston, because
Mhm.
there's different ways to go about this where you can still pursue those goals, but do
Yeah.
it safely. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm not, I would never, really. This is kind of out of my comfort zone, to be honest. I'm very low key into myself, but with something this good, I feel wrong not getting involved in like, hey, this is the real deal. I'm not the kind of
Yeah.
person to endorse things that I do not believe in. Mike's been fantastic. Dr. J's been fantastic. Emmerich, fantastic. I'm backing all three of them.
Yeah. I remember Emmerich said he talked to you on Messenger a little bit, and
Yeah, yeah,
he called me up and said, hey, your buddy Jeremy messaged me and he was really
yeah.
happy. And Emmerich, he'll talk to you anytime. He's as humble
Yeah.
as can be. He
Great
knows
guy.
more. I think he knows more than anybody on earth about everything.
He's a genius. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Just so far ahead of his time. I mean, to think all the things he were just discovering, back when he was like,
Yeah.
it's almost unbelievable, right? How he's just incredible, man.
Well, the history of the Humanofort, he brought it here in the 90s.
Mhm.
Um, and first was using it in Balco Labs, like all the professional athletes, Barry Bonds, all those guys were using it.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the drug scandal. It just was making
Right,
everybody
right.
better athletes. And
Hmm.
Dr. Serrano did some of his own studies, and now has gotten it approved to be used in the UFC and the NFL and the Pro Baseball League and all of that.
Right.
So there's some stuff coming to light with that that's really exciting. With all that going on, Emmerich's been noticed, and we'll all see in the
Yeah.
next few months that Emmerich's going to be known worldwide. And
And rightly deserved, right?
right. And the few people that didn't listen to Taking Humanofort will be listening
Yeah,
after
for sure.
what we know is going to go down. But I'm really happy, Jeremy, and I, just like you said, you just hit me in the heart a little bit with saying that, like, you don't usually talk openly about stuff. You do the social
Right.
media stuff and everything, but with this, you can't help it. And
Right. Right.
that's exactly the way I feel. I hate selling shit, but when you really genuinely in your heart fucking know that this is the better way,
Yeah.
you don't really have to sell it. You're just stating a
Right.
fact.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, it's a
Exactly.
fact. You need to take Humanofort. You'll live a better life. Your whole family should
Absolutely.
take Humanofort.
Yeah. No, 100%.
um, I have a lot of guys that same thing as you. They'll message me and be like, Mike, my testicles are back to normal size.
Right.
Without those growth factors in Humanofort, those are the ones that developed your testicles in the womb.
Right.
It can't happen. If some guy came off of a bunch like too high a testosterone, even if it was TRT, even if it was just 400 milligrams a week of TRT, that's too high. You're going to shut down
Yeah.
at testicular atrophy. Without Humanofort going to the microdosing, the guys really wouldn't notice much. And
Right. Right.
they would get some back as far as like sensitivity and stuff like that, but it wouldn't be to the same degree, and it wouldn't be as fast. You know what I mean? It would take years, and
Right. Right.
it still wouldn't come back the way that the Humanofort, within an 8-week period, the Humanofort
Yeah.
has everything back to normal.
Yeah.
And I was shut down for so long. I went 16 weeks before trying a little more testosterone, just
Sure.
because, I had like peanut testicles. They're squishy little peanuts,
Yeah. Right. Right.
and I had no ejaculation whatsoever. Just, it was
Right.
like air, poof,
Mm.
but, I'm normal now, and it's very nice. Like, I have a great girlfriend, and I have a very healthy, fully functional sex life that
Right.
I'm thankful every day to Emmerich for teaching me these things.
Yeah.
So
It's priceless. Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
that's part of being a man too,
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
um, so I'll leave this with the fact that, Jeremy, I think it'd be cool if you and I could do another few videos down the road after we've done some blasting and cruising and training, and see
Yeah. Of
how things
course.
are going for you. And like I said, I'm going to start traveling once financially I have the ability to just kind of pull up anchor and go some places for a week.
Right.
I'm planning on going out to California, and I'll work out with Jaquish and Emmerich, and we'll all kind of collaborate. And
Yeah.
then John's got some interesting stuff going on too. But then when we are doing these videos for this new training style we're coming out with like an advanced version with the X3 and some other stuff, I'd really like to visit guys like yourself, and we'll just it would give us other feedback, and then show people like what you have to work with. We can
Right.
tailor something to that, because
Yeah.
everybody's got, some guys work out at home, some guys work out at a gym that has everything under the sun, some
Right.
guy,
Right. Right.
but
Yeah.
as long as we have a few pieces of equipment and
Yeah.
some ingenuity in our mind and an X3, we can get it done, you know.
Yeah, 100%,
So,
100%.
yeah.
And I love that, Mike. Yeah, let me know, and we'll definitely make that happen. I apologize, my light went out again here.
It's all right.
Next time I'll get some better lighting for sure. I apologize for
Your
that.
cab light, is your cab light on the
Yeah,
fritz or what?
yeah, I thought I was gonna keep going, but
Oh, it's
yeah,
the
next time I'll
plow.
get some better lighting for sure. But like I said, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and I just want to make sure
Yeah,
we got it done and we get the information out there, and we'll definitely have to do a part two for sure.
absolutely. I appreciate it, Jeremy.
No, I
Um,
appreciate you, Mike.
so we'll cut it off here, but soon enough, we'll talk again. All right.
Absolutely.